Introducing one of my very favorite quilts, and one that doesn't go anywhere but lives on our bed at least 6 months out of every year. This is called Silver Mist, and I'm showing it to you because I think it's a great idea for using English paper piecing blocks along with some simple pieced blocks. I was into English paper, well, I've liked English paper piecing for a long while. I like it because you can take it and do it on, you know, when you're riding in a car, when you're watching TV. These big chrysanthemum type flowers, or they're kind of a wedge type flower, were made with just freezer paper and folding it over freezer paper and sewing them together. Then I had a bunch of them and I wanted to display them in a way, so I thought, well, I'll use a fairly simple background with triangles again and scrappy different grays. The background here is white, and then these grays are different grays, light to dark. But I used again this triangle ruler, an Omnigrid triangle ruler, where you can lay out two strips, a dark strip and a light strip on top, and lay your triangle ruler on top of there, cut, well, you cut on the edge, and then cut, flip the ruler around, cut, flip the, if you have your fabrics right sides together, then they're just all ready to feed into the sewing machine and sew. It's a fast way to make half square triangles, and you can use lots of different scraps, which I think is great fun. I also think it's great fun to use lots of different scraps when you're doing your paper piecing, because I like to have colorful, whatever these are, flowers. The quilting on this is absolutely beautiful. The quilting was done by Kathy Franks, and it's just really, really detailed, and I usually send my quilts to long arm quilters when they're bed quilts. I can quilt the small quilts, but I can't do the big quilts. If you would like the pattern for this, the pattern for this quilt is actually inside another pattern that I have published called Purple Mist, and I'm going to be showing that in just a few minutes and tell you about it. But because this is so big, I rarely take it anywhere, and the Purple Mist can show basically putting a flower or some focal interest, and then having you know, sort of a simple background. I think that's one of my favorite ways of making a quilt. So I encourage you, if you like to do paper piecing or making hexagons or just big flowers, design yourself a nice simple background and play around with putting them on there. One thing I will say too, when I do a quilt like this, especially a big one, I do it in sections, so that, I don't know how big this is, but I am not trying to sew things down on, well, these may have been sewn on blocks. If not, if I'm just putting them on the background, then I do the background in sections, maybe 3 or 4 sections, maybe even 6 sections, so that I have a small amount of fabric to deal with while I'm trying to sew things on the machine, so, or even by hand. So that's my suggestion. Keep it small. One of my favorite quilts lives on our bed all the time, and it's called Silver Mist. So some big flowers with a triangle design in the background. It's looks like this. Well, I decided I would make a smaller type quilt that I could carry with me, or that I could make a pattern for, and people might be able to see it better. This one doesn't use the chrysanthemum type piece. Instead, it's English paper piecing using hexes. So these are 1-inch hexes, making nice circles. I use hexes a lot. I think I made this quilt a year after I made the big one. I think this is 2016. But the hexes are easy to make with foundation paper piecing. And these triangle or half square triangle blocks are very easy to make with the Omnigrid ruler or a triangle ruler. Again, I like to use lots of different colors of purple. So I would layer a white piece of fabric, right side up, purple fabric, face down, and use the ruler to cut out 2 here for one section, and then here, and flip it around. Just a good way to quickly make lots of triangles, half square triangles, if you sew carefully. That 1/4-inch seam is pretty important. But this shows a smaller arrangement using the hexie flowers. And if you wanted to, you could make it bigger, putting extra borders on or putting another row on too. So this is called Purple Mist, and it's sort of a cousin to Silver Mist, which is underneath. They are both patterns are included in the Purple Mist pattern that I have. I just thought you might like to see 2 different ways that you can use applique flowers or hexie flowers on with a simple other design, a simple triangle design, for example.